Hey guys, so I'm just back to do the story of my second labor and delivery. The video before this is the labor and delivery of my first. Um, so the whole goal with my second labor and delivery, I really wanted to take a more natural approach, and that's just because the gas and air, although at the time really helped me, while I looked back on it, while I try to think about things, I can only remember certain parts, and that's just because I was so high off the gas and air that I just don't remember. so so I really wanted a more natural birth. Like I said in my other story, in the first story, I didn't have the urge to push. I didn't feel I didn't feel my body giving me those cues. And with this labor, I really wanted to feel that. So my goal was to try and go as natural as possible. Okay, so my daughter is now 9 months. She was due on the 9th of April, and she came exactly 1 week early when I was 39 weeks on the 2nd of April, which was a Saturday. So, um, before this, I had before she was born, 2 weeks before she was born, I had false labor for 2 weeks, where so many times I thought labor was starting and then my contractions would just die. Like, so many times I was like, yep, this is it. The contractions were there, sometimes staying for 6 hours, sometimes staying for 8 hours, and they'd increase in intensity and they'd get closer together. I was like, this is it. And then they just die. It was so frustrating. So that went on for like 2 weeks. And I did everything to keep the contractions going. I walked every day, at least an hour every day, and I've got myself a yoga ball. So I was, whenever I, used to sit down on the couch, instead of sitting on the couch, I sit on the ball and just bounce, like, while I was watching TV. So on the 2nd of April, on the Saturday, after 2 weeks of false labor, I woke up at 4 a.m. feeling really wet down there, so I got up and I went to the toilet, and it was the beginning of my mucus plug coming out. I know it was my mucus plug because although you have mucousy discharge throughout your whole pregnancy, this mucus plug discharge was really thick, and it was a bit of a different color. So I was like, I think something's going on. So this is at like 4 in the morning. So I went to my birthing ball yoga ball, whatever, and I just bounced on it for about 20 minutes, and then I got really tired, and then I went back to bed. And then I woke up at 8 o'clock again, and I had the same wet feeling. So I went back to the toilet, I wiped, and it was more mucus plug. The only difference was this one had blood in it. Not like, like fresh blood, just had like a tinge of a few streaks and a thick bit of blood. I did take photos, but I won't insert them because they're a bit too much information, even though everyone wants information. But that's a bit gross to see, so I'll just tell you. So after I saw that, I just felt this I was so happy and I was so positive. I was like, oh my gosh, things are starting. And I have a friend who's a midwife, and I sent her the photo of my mucus plug, and I asked if it was my mucus plug, and she said yes. So I was, really happy about that, feeling really energized, feeling really positive. And that was really good. So the whole day I just bounced on my ball, watching movies with a few friends popping in and out, a few family members popping in and out. I just invited people over just to pass the time. My fiance is Seventh-day Adventist, which means they go to church on a Saturday. So it was Saturday. He stayed with me till about 12, and then he went to church. Yep, and then I had my mum come over, and she got there about 4. At this time, I could still, I was getting contractions. I didn't start timing them yet because they weren't. I wanted to start timing them when they got intense. So they started to get intense about 5 in the afternoon, and they were 5 minutes apart. And even though they were 5 minutes apart, they were still lasting for a minute. And I do have, I took screenshots of my contractions. I downloaded that app, the contraction timer. So yeah, I was doing that. By 6 o'clock, they were every 3 minutes, and they were lasting for 1 minute. So this is when they got really, really intense. So my fiance still wasn't home because he had band practice for his church, and I was trying to get in contact with him. I was like having a panic attack because I couldn't get in contact with him, so I just gave up. After that, he got home about 7. My sister came and took Peyton. And then my mum just suggested maybe go in the shower because I was having really bad back pain. From when I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, my tailbone was killing me, like really, really bad. So, yeah, I was having a lot of pain in my back. So my mum just told me go in the shower, see if it helps. It didn't. Like I don't know. Like, showers is like my relaxed time right now. Like, when I go for a shower, that's when I wind down and I relax. And when I was in labor, I just could not relax in there. The hot water didn't really do anything for me. So I was in there for like probably a few minutes, and I was like, nah, I want to get out. I just felt uncomfortable in there. 9 p.m. I called the nurse and I just told her what's going on. She said, stay home as long as you can. This is your second, so it's probably gonna things are always gonna happen faster, and we're certain that we're gonna see you later tonight. So she just said to come in, when I was ready. I still wanted to labor majority at home, so I stayed till I couldn't handle it. I knew when I couldn't handle it is when I couldn't talk through the contraction, and I have a really high pain tolerance. So when I couldn't talk through the contraction and when I started crying during contraction, that's when I was like, okay, this is getting serious. So we went, we left to go to the hospital. We live literally 5 minutes away from the hospital, and the drive to the hospital felt like the longest drive in the world. And we also went over speed bumps, and oh my gosh, speed bumps, like, they are so uncomfortable while you're while you're in labor. Like, it just felt like the longest car trip ever. I was in the back seat. I was half on the seat, so my arm and my leg were half on the seat, and then my stomach was like towards the floor. I couldn't sit on my bum. I don't know what I was doing. That's just how I was comfortable. That's just what I did. So I felt like the longest drive in the world. We got to the hospital. My fiance was finding parking. He dropped me and my mum at the front. As soon as I stepped out of the car, my contractions were like bang, 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 one after the other, and they were so intense. Every time I started getting these every time I started getting these intense contractions, I just felt the need to squat. So I did. And then this happened a few times, like literally every few steps I would have a contraction. There was a lady coming out from emergency, and she saw me and she just stopped and she's like, I'll go get help. So she went and got the emergency staff because I was like squatting on the floor having a contraction. They came, got a wheelchair. They asked me if I would make it up to delivery. I said yes, like I didn't feel the urge to push or anything. By this time, my fiance was back. Went up to the delivery suite, and then they put me on a bed for about 5 minutes. At this point, I did not want to be laying down. Like, laying down actually made the contractions hurt more. I just wanted to be up. I wanted to be active. So I was laying down. That hurt a lot more. And then she checked me, and I had a student midwife, and then I had the senior normal midwife. So the the student midwife, no, yes, the student midwife checked me first, and then the senior midwife checked me, and they had a little conversation. The senior said, "So what do you think she is?" And she goes, I think around 8 centimeters." And then the senior one was like, "Yep, 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. I would say that too." And I was like, 8 centimeters? I only have to get to 10. And I got a bit emotional at that at that point, and I started crying, and I had a bit of a moment. And then they're like, "All right, we'll take you back to the room, and we can just wait it out." So that was about 10 o'clock. So I went back to the room. I didn't want to walk. I actually crawled from the assessment area. I crawled around the corner back to my delivery room because when I stood up, it just hurt. So I literally crawled on the floor on my hands and knees. And then when I went to stand up to get on the bed, I got another contraction, and I just squatted again. I got on the bed. I asked for gas and air. I really, because I was so much more aware this time, I really felt the gas and air working. So it really did take the strongest part of the contraction away, and that was fine for me. I just remember being on my side. At this point, my fiance's mum arrived as well. My waters had not broken yet. I had so much pressure in my bum, like so much pressure. I had so much pressure on my pubic bone. I actually did poo a little bit, like just a little bit, but everyone knew and they just went quiet and sort of like looked at each other, and I just kept my eyes closed. I was like, I'm sorry. Like I couldn't control it. Like it literally just came out. Like I wasn't pushing or anything, but it's just all the pressure from the baby's head, like, you know, squeezing past your bowel, and it just squeezes whatever's there out. So that happened. Nurse wiped me, and then um, she checked me again, and as she put her hand in, my waters broke, and that just went, and then that gave me so much relief. Like all that pressure was gone. It gave me so much relief. I still had a lot of pressure on my pubic bone. I remember that because I didn't have that with my first. Um, and then yeah, so when she checked me on my water break, she said I was a 9.5. At this point, I'd get a contraction. The gas would take the top of it away. As it was going away, I felt my body start to push. So right at the end of the contraction, I was like, ugh, like, and I told the nurse, I'm pushing, and she's like, it's fine, it's fine. So the next few contractions, just up and then down. At the very last, you know, couple of seconds, I'd start pushing. Then she checked me and she said I was a 10 and we can start pushing. This was at 11 o'clock. I started pushing. I pushed for 20 minutes. She was born at 11:21. At 11:20, they thought she had shoulder dysplasia, where her shoulders got stuck or maybe one got dislocated. So she pressed a green button and all these nurses came rushing in. I was like, I was with it, but I wasn't with it. While I was on the gas and air, I really felt like I couldn't communicate properly. Like I was communicating inside my head instead of vocalizing. I was vocalizing inside my head. So I just remember all these people coming in. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I got scared. I got scared, but I was still out of it. They turned my gas and air off. They told me to flip on all fours. So then that meant that I was facing the back of the bed. And then, yeah, I just did a push and like she all came out. Like all of her at once came out. I don't even remember like having her head separate. Oh yeah, that's obviously. Before I hopped on my back, I'd already like her head was out. Had the ring of fire. I wasn't that bad this time. I still requested the cloth like I did in my first labor and delivery, just to take away some of that burning. And that helped. So yeah, 11:21 she was born. She was exactly 1 pound heavier than my first daughter. She was 8 pounds 15 ounces. She didn't cry at all. We didn't hear her cry for like the first probably 3 weeks. Like she literally did not cry. Didn't cry when they put her on my chest. She just opened her eyes and started looking around. I delivered the placenta. Again, I had the needle in my thigh to hurry that process up where the placenta comes out. Didn't feel it come out. She had her needles. They wanted to do skin to skin for half an hour, and then I started to breastfeed, and she latched on right away, and everything was great. So yeah, my labor. I'm really not exactly how long it 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 took. Like I pushed for 20 minutes. I'm gonna say my labor really started at 5. So my labor went for 6 hours. 5 to 11, I'll say, and then yeah. So I had those intense contractions for 6 hours, and pushed for 20 minutes. I had no tearing. Recovery was so much easier this time because I didn't have to worry about my stitches down there. Everything just was so calm and I knew what I was doing, so it was a really enjoyable process. Um, and yeah, so she's 9 months old now, and I'm currently 23 weeks with our third baby, who is due in May, and that's a boy. So, not sure if I'll be doing vlogs for that, but after he's born, I'll definitely do a labor and delivery story for him. So that's yeah, my labor and delivery story for my first and second daughter. Thanks for watching, guys.